is Red Hot Reds Live. Here are your hosts, Ricky Logan and Roger Strauss.
Welcome to the Red Hot Reds podcast presented by Ohio Sports Talk. I'm Roger, that's Ricky. This is Sunday at 8 p.m., so we are Red Hot Reds Live, and we are here to recap the Reds week, which did not go particularly well, unfortunately, especially in a rubber match day today. Ended on a loss, but yeah, other than that, Ricky, how was your week? How did that go?
It was okay. A lot of weird stuff happening on the Reds front of things, but overall, it's been an okay week. What about you?
Yeah, it's been okay. We had some decent weather, not too hot, not too cold. But yeah, it's Memorial Day weekend. Happy Memorial Day to everybody out there. And we are going to recap the week that started well with a Reds win against the Pirates, and the rest of the series didn't go well. And the Cubs series that started well and had leads in every single game against the Cubs, sizable lead, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of one of those weeks where you thought you had wins and basically in the bag, wins there, but just couldn't close the deal. But we'd like to thank Doug and Jordan for this platform on Ohio Sports Talk. Please subscribe on YouTube, Ohio Sports Talk. Subscribe to X for us, Red Hot Reds Pod, Facebook, Instagram, all that good stuff. Also, support our sponsor, W Energy, W.GG, the only sugar-free, focus-free energy drink out there on the market. If you go to W.GG and put Red Hot 10 there in the promo code, you get an additional 10% off. So support them, which supports us. So we appreciate that. We have, this week, Ricky, a 2-4 week. So not a great week. Obviously, it puts us below 500, puts us in a bad mood because you lost 2 series. We didn't get swept. The Reds, so far in 2025, have never been swept. So knock on wood for that. I mean, now we're probably going to jinx it because, baseball is baseball, right? Nobody wins all their games, right? But they did go 2-4. Started off well against the Pirates. Lost the 2 games to lose the series. Ended up losing 2 out of 3 of the Cubs. What were your main takeaways from this week?
I don't know. It's different from the past, I guess, 5 or 6 years from this team. I have a stat from Joe Daneman of Fox 19 that the Reds have now lost 38 consecutive series when they lose the first game of a series. It goes back to June of 23. I'm out of words. Like, I don't want to call the season dead because we can beat the good teams, but you can't blow a lead like the leads that they've blown against the Cubs. I mean, Ashcraft allowed 4 runs today, and you had a pretty sizable lead on Friday night, and I don't know, and then I don't know. I'm out of words. Just honestly, I don't even know how to describe. I'm just frustrated, I guess. Just tired of losing.
For sure. The losses against the Cubs compound the losses to the Pirates in a way. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I guess if you win 2 out of 3 against the Cubs, you have a 3-3 week. It makes the Pirates series loss less damning because the Pirates are going nowhere. I mean, you can just see it. They scored 5 runs in 3 games and won 2 of those games. So what does that tell you as a organization? They're obviously not great at offense, but the Reds scored 7 on them in the first game. What was that, on Monday? So like, it's just so weird. Jekyll and Hyde offense where they can score a bunch of runs one day and score and lose 1-0 the next day, right? To falter in game 2 against the Pirates. And then the next day they just struggle for offense yet again and lose 3-1 in the rubber match, which they've been horrible in rubber matches I think it's 3-22 in rubber matches in the last 30 or 25 games. That's just they just don't close out series. And I think we talked about it maybe on Wednesday at the Cubs. They play against the Marlins. They lost a walk-off. The Marlins walked them off game 1 of their series, but then they came back. The Cubs won the next 2, closed out that. Like, yeah, obviously they had that blip in their first game against the Marlins. All credit to the Marlins. The Marlins are terrible, just like the Pirates, basically. But we can't really judge because we lost 2 out of 3 to the Marlins as well, right? So it's kind of like are we as good as we think we are, or are we in a situation where we're not as good as the Pirates? We can't say we're that much better than the Marlins. We're obviously better than the Rockies because we took care of business there. But like losing 2 out of 3 of the Pirates, it's just that kind of put a damper on the week, I think, already, because you have a situation where you're going into the Cubs series at home needing to make an impression, right? Needing to at least maybe win 2 out of 3. And unfortunately, they ended up having leads in all 3 games. The game 1, Hunter pitches well. He must be on a pitch count. I didn't see any stats or anything around that. He only went 4 innings. He had a 6-2 lead going into like the 6th or 7th inning. They blew it there. Same thing today. Had a 8-3, even bigger lead, 5-run lead, and just I don't know. It's very disheartening as a Reds fan to kind of be like, oh yeah, we're gonna go into Kansas City and now we're gonna go back to Chicago and take care of business when they had the opportunity this week to take care of business, right? And it almost like the opportunities are there, but the good teams will take advantage of those opportunities. The Reds, they haven't. At least this week they didn't, right? So I don't know. It's very disheartening this week is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, they scored 7, 0, and 1 against the Pirates, and they scored 20 against the Cubs all series. And you don't come away with any of those. It's brutal. You put up 20 runs in a series and you win 1 game, but yet you lose 1-0, 3-1, and you win 7-1, and you still only win 1 of those games. It's just, I don't know. I'm out of words.
Yeah, you'd like to think that the Reds would have some sort of, I don't know. It's tough because baseball's tough. You're not going to score 100 runs every single game, but you like to think they have some professional players out there that will, in those spots when they really need a hit, they really need a run, they get it done. And it felt like the Cubs had that, right? When they were down 6-2 on Friday night, they had a Precor Armstrong to come up and hit a grand slam to put them ahead. You know what I mean? Like it just felt that they had enough offense. They have enough guys. They have enough professional hitters to get the job done. But when it comes kind of like the Reds, like you said, they lose 1-0 to the Pirates, the lowly Pirates, and lose 3-1 the next day. They just 1 run in 2 days. They don't have enough. There's not enough of professional guys that will go out there and turn around a fastball and send it over the fences. Even though that we know for sure Great American Small Park is very home run friendly. We saw it today. Suzuki took him yard, 3-run home run to put the Cubs back in the lead. So it's not like it's not possible. They have a guy that I've never even heard of, Reese McGuire.
Yeah. Had his first multi-home run game.
Yeah. It just feels like maybe you're right. Maybe when we talked about it a little bit before the show, maybe it's an organizational failure.
Yeah.
To have enough guys to get the job done. The pitching staff, to their credit, has been great, right? Starting pitching specifically. Bullpen, obviously this series kind of fell apart. So, I don't know. This is, yeah. And it was it. William Wright says, Reds lost series to Nationals, White Sox, and Marlins and Pirates. We can't consider ourselves a contender if we're in that category. Sure, I think if you probably think back, we lost series in 2024 to the Nationals and the Marlins and the Pirates. But then we also beat the Yankees and the Dodgers in 2024. So what does that tell you? I don't know. This team is very consistently inconsistent. That's basically the biggest thing I can think of.
Yeah, except for in the month of May. It seems like May is always our terrible month, and going to the organizational failure, not playing Rhys Hines and giving him substantial playing time, and then demoting him and signing Garrett Hampson. What is Garrett Hampson going to do to this team that Rhys Hines couldn't do? Just other than he's a Bubba Thompson. I mean, that's really what he is he's a fast player that's not going to play. I mean, but when you have a record of 6-17 when you don't homer and you send down guys that are your power bats, I don't know. I talked about it on the pregame show with Mike on Friday. It's, when you have an organization that prioritizes hitting, line drives to the gaps, and singles, and yet you have nobody on the team that can do that either. What's the point? Adam Dunn, if you get two guys, I'm going to go back to Adam Dunn. Adam Dunn was not appreciated enough back in the day. Everyone hated he was ahead of his time, to quote Greg Kuffner on Red Staley 4. He was ahead of his time. He was putting up 40 home runs a year, 110 plus RBIs a year. And we had some of the players that could get on base. They would have probably made the playoffs more. I mean, they didn't make him his entire career there. So, I don't know. Just when you have singles hitters and no one to hit the ball out of the ballpark, you get that untimely double play, and it doesn't work.
Yeah. Speaking of Adam Dunn, the scoreboard stumper, a little ad lib here. I think in the last 20 seasons, there have been 5 Reds hitters that have hit that have had 400 percentage on base percentage in the last 20 years. Can you name those 5 guys? I think we already named one, Mr. Adam Dunn. Who are the other 4?
Was it a 400 on base, and what was
just 400 on base in the last 20 years?
Joey Votto.
Yep.
Sin-Chu Chu.
Yep. 2 more. So it goes back to 1995. So think 90s.
Barry Larkin.
Yep. And 1 more.
Still in the 90s?
No, this guy's a 2000s guy.
Okay. Oh.
A real fan favorite.
Brandon Phillips?
No, not Brandon.
400 on base. 400 on base.
Outfielder.
Jay Bruce.
No, the other fan favorite outfielder. We're a pro Austin show.
Oh, man. Austin Kearns.
Austin Kearns in the year 2000.
Man. God.
Yeah. So just think about that. Just Joey Votto really kind of the only. I mean, Sin-Chu Chu was 2013. He had that on base percentage, but like a guy that can get on base, a guy that can hit consistently. We really haven't had one since Joey Votto. And so it's
crazy.
Maybe the game's changed a bit where walks are devalued, so you're not having as many because guys are striking out a lot more. I mean, everybody except, maybe certain players. But at the same time, like, we don't have guys that consistently get on base. So how are we going to consistently manufacture runs if we're going to be a singles hitting team, like you're saying, right? Because it seems like we're not valuing the power guys, right? Like the Rhys Hines, see you later. We'll put you back to AAA. Benson finally kind of getting his run because he had that huge week. So like you can't really demote him. I mean, what organizational malpractice would that be?
Would you be surprised if Fraley comes up and Benson goes down? I don't want it, but I wouldn't be surprised. It's just there seems to be like an unwillingness to demote players that have options, but have more experience than the other guy.
True. I wouldn't be surprised. I'm hoping against hope that
Yeah, like, I don't want it.
Benson's going to be here for good, or at least for a long stretch, at least until maybe he has an injury or whatnot. He looked pretty good today, hitting the ball. Didn't necessarily, light the world on fire. Like you said, a bunch of singles today, except for Mr. Austin Hayes, Pro Austin Show. Austin Hayes looked really good today with the triple. Brought in 2 guys. So, like, I don't know. It's like, I don't know, man. Like, it just seems weird that, know your ball club, know your stadium. You should value probably guys at home, guys that have the consistent launch angle to send the ball out of the ballpark. Like, I don't know. Maybe it's too simple to kind of set up a lineup that way. But if you're going to set up a lineup that's not necessarily a power-heavy lineup, I don't know what we're doing, I guess. And there's even that stat that's been floated around that, like, Ellie's swing angle or launch angle is it regressed. It's like it's he's hitting the ball down more. He's getting into a situation where he's not hitting the ball up. Like, they're trying to insinuate that he's trying not to necessarily put the ball out of the park, but like try to put the ball in play a lot more. I'm guessing. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not exactly sure, because there were some stats also that McLean's launch angle has kind of gone up, and maybe that's to insinuate that that's why he's not performing as well. There's a lot of different I don't know, analytics out there to try to figure out why these guys are struggling, why these guys are not hitting as well as they used to. Ellie's starting to come on a little bit more. He had a good outing yesterday against the Cubs to secure the win, the home run and whatnot, to figure to at least not get swept, the Cubs by the Cubs. But I don't know. It's difficult to really evaluate this club because I don't know what you're gonna get most days.
Right.
It seems like we can have a situation where you score 7 runs against the Pirates and then just 1 run the next 2 days. That's just not winning baseball, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I'm looking at Baseball Savant right now, and you're kind of right on the Ellie thing. So, 2025, he's got a topped percentage of 44.7%, and that's the highest of his career. And then he's got a weak percentage of 4.3. That's the highest of his career. He's got the weakest contact of his career this year, too. He was at 3.7 last year and 2.4 the year in 2023. He's getting under the ball at only 15%. He was at 21% last year. And then he does have more solid contact this year, and he's got the most barrels by 0.1%. But it's barrels and ground balls and weak contact for Ellie this year. But that's not to say he's not performing, because he's the only person on this team that, other than Austin Hayes when he has his streaks, is just, you're going to get something out of him. Well, Ellie could have 3 strikeouts, but he could get a walk and then get to third, like in the blink of an eye. But I don't know, man. We just need thumpers, and we just don't have any. And there's none anywhere near coming up either. Hines, but is Hines really a 20, 30 home run guy if he plays every day? I don't know. He could. That run he had last year, I think he was on pace to hit like 58 home runs or something, but obviously he cooled down. And being realistic, I think he could be a 20, 25 if he played every day. But there's nobody in the minors that are on their way either that are pure power hitters. We just don't have any. Yeah,
it seems that Hector Rodriguez might be the next guy, and he's in Double-A right now to have some pop, but he's maybe a year away, maybe more. But and Old School Fitness was talking about how it seems like that, again, we're kind of harking on we don't build our ball club to hit home runs, yet the Cubs hit a tremendous amount of home runs this weekend, at least 6 or 7 or 8 that I've counted. And Great American Ballpark lends itself for that, which is why, the Reds have built their pitching staff through drafting, and they're not going to get free agents to come here. And they traded Singer, and Singer's been serviceable. So it's like, I don't know. I guess maybe it's just a lack of talent. Maybe it's that. Rhys Hines hasn't had the opportunity, though, to be fair. He less than Benson has had less of an opportunity to really kind of show with the week that Benson had, the player of the week. I think that week Benson had 5 and Rhys had 2, and yet the opportunity still didn't come to Rhys Hines. So I don't know. Hopefully he's going to have another opportunity later. It's going to be interesting to see what this next couple weeks look like, because it's not going to get any easier, right? And we're in May, which we're going to talk about is becoming one of the worst months that the baseball that the Reds play baseball in the month of May. They might as well just kind of mail it in and say, hey, we're going to just take this month off and we'll see you in June.
Yeah.
But
so I wanted to get to this real quick before we get to that. Old School Fitness is LA's walk rate down this season. It is, but it's only down by 0.8%. He was at 9.9% last year. He's at 9.1 this season. And in 2023, he was at 8.2. And according to the Fangraphs, his K percentage is also down. He's at 28.7. Last year, he was at 31.3. So there's some improvement. It's just when he's making contact, he's just hitting ground balls. That's mainly the bigger issue. But I think historically, I think Nick Kirby has talked about it, that he's usually at the beginning of the season a lot of ground balls, and then once June, July, August hits, he gets a lot more fly balls.
Yeah, and you're talking about how he's missing the barrel a little bit more than he has. So water might find its level with him, because we know he's a known, right, in baseball. Like, obviously he's going to have his strikeouts, and he's got a long swing with all the long, his long arms and all that through the strike zone. So it's difficult for him to not strike out, obviously. But if he starts to find barrels, that might be an indicator for the Reds, hopefully, that they have some more success. He's obviously not the guy that's going to win them the ball game every day out there. You
Right.
like that, but that's not how baseball works. We talked about that on Wednesday, and with the false narrative that Ellie is overrated and he's not playing up to his potential. But, like, are you kidding? Like, we'll talk about this more a little bit later, but he is way past any potential. I mean, at the stage he's at in his career, we're talking about. Obviously, obviously Aaron Judge is killing the baseball now for the Yankees, but he's 33. He's 10 years older than Ellie. So if Ellie is still kind of in this kind of middling, not ground, getting a lot of errors, grounding out, not finding the barrel at 33, fine. Okay, there you go. You win the argument. He's not as good as you thought. But he's 23 years old. He's not even 2 years into his professional career yet. So pump the brakes. He's still developing.
Yeah, and then one more analytical thing. I'm not deep on analytics. I'd say I'm pretty uneducated on analytics, but batting average on balls in play. Last year he was at 359, and this year he's at 318. So that just shows you that the weak contact and the ground balls really are a factor this year. But it's still, we're still early. I think, what are we, not even a quarter of the way through the season, really? If we are, we're right at a quarter. And if Ellie's doing this in July, August, then I'll start to worry a little bit. But as far as what the team is doing, that's where my main concern is.
Yeah, for sure. Old School Fitness points out that they haven't played the Dodgers, Padres, Mets, and Phils yet. Yet, I think, counterintuitively,
beat those guys.
That's when the Reds show that their potential is
and
against.
That's when Ellie plays at his best and in the spotlight too.
Especially the Dodgers for one. But anyway, that's the thing. The same thing happened last year. They lost series to the Pirates. They lost series to the Marlins. And then they go out and sweep the Yankees, right? And they play well against the Dodgers.
They swept the Dodgers that one series.
All right, yeah. It's just that's
the Dodgers series was their first series win in May last year.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Speaking of May, May 2024, we try not to talk about it too much, but we kind of have to because it's not necessarily exactly.
It's historical.
Yeah, it's not a repeat this time around, but it's trending bad. We got a tough series against Kansas City, and then the Cubs to kind of end the month. It's not looking good. 10-13 this month. We got at least one more win than we did last month, 9-18, when that was one of the worst months I remember in Reds history, and from my memory. I'm sure there's been worse, but in Reds recent history, 9-18, having Stuart Fairchild hitting the 3-hole, CES playing with a broken wrist, and the West Coast, it was a terrible month to say the least. Like you said, they didn't win their first series until I think it was they played.
It was the end of the month.
It was Memorial Day weekend. I think they played the Dodgers and won that series. And then if you look through it, 2023 winning month, 2022 winning month, but it's just barely 14-13, 14-13, 2021 12-15. May it just stinks. They just don't start out the season well. They don't usually win in April either, right? The last 2 years they've been 14-13 in April. So the Reds don't do themselves any favors by getting out to slow starts in April and May, and these stats back it up. I don't know what else to say because at 10-13 right now, it seems like we're headed toward a losing month as well, at the very least. Hopefully, we can get some wins so it doesn't turn into 10-17 or 10-18. But I don't know. The Reds are going to red. So, what are your thoughts about the Reds' performances in May?
I wanted to kind of talk about Stuart Fairchild on the 3-hole. Just is that better or worse than Santiago Espinal batting second? I just we're so in the moment on social media with Francona, and we'll talk about this a little bit later too. But just managerial decisions, but for whatever reason, and I think we could go back to why. It's all about not having true power hitters, and like you look at the rosters that we've had. Aging Joey Votto in 21, he was injured towards the end of that season. 22, he missed, and then 23 was like his farewell tour, and he missed most of the season until June, or was it June when he came back, right?
He came, yeah. Ellie got called up early June, and he got called up like in the middle of June.
Yeah, so that is a thing. And then, like, who else? Well, it was supposed to have been Mike Moustakas, was supposed to have been our power hitter. Never lived up to it. Now he's on Savannah Bananas. And I'm trying to find the 2020 stat because that was a weird weird season just because of the whole shortened season and everything. But I don't know. It's just an organizational issue. I think it comes down to Nick Kroll and Brad Meaner and just philosophy. Like you can have. I don't think Francona is a terrible manager. I don't think David Bell was a terrible manager. When you have what you have to do with the best you can with what you have. And
yeah.
When you have 4A players, borderline AAA players, and then aging superstars, it's like, what are you supposed to do with that?
Yeah, the one thing that Old School Fitness point out, they haven't had a power hitting outfielder for a long time. I think the last outfielder to hit 30 home runs for them, we did this in the outfield preview before the season started, was Nick Castellanos in 2021 was the last starting outfielder to hit 30 home runs or more. So
you want to know the Reds' last winning record in May?
When was that?
2019. They were 15-13.
I mean, they had a winning record in 2023 and 2022, but yeah, it's not necessarily blowing teams away.
But this one, they were 15-13 in 2019. I consider that like actually winning. Like I don't like 14-13 is borderline 500 to me.
Yeah.
But if you can get 2 games extra, it's just I don't know. And then the people on that team, you had Suarez, power hitter. You know, it's I don't know. It's organizational failure.
Didn't Suarez have 50 home runs one year? Right?
He did. I remember I think it was 2018, 2019, I think.
Yeah. Like we're talking about like.
I mean, to be fair, they were terrible in 2019. They were 75 and 87, but
Sure. I mean, but the thing, I guess I'm pointing out is that we just had a power outage like since 2021, to say the least. That it's just been struggling to get anyone to hit the ball over the fence. And obviously, we're going back to the same topic again. Just kind of, I don't know. I guess it's becoming more apparent seeing the Cubs come to town, seeing how well they hit in our ballpark, seeing how well they hit throughout this season, and how it's put them in a good position in the division, right? Like it looks like it's their division to lose, right? They seem like they have enough horses, and they lost the starting pitcher too. So this is, I guess, the organizational failure we're talking about is that I agree with the Reds' decision to like build their pitching through the draft, and they've done it successfully. And we're going to even profile more guys that have had pretty good weeks in the minors that are pitchers. So like I agree with that philosophy, but it's almost like they're just rolling the dice on offensive players, in so much that like they're just like, hey, if we could just get somebody with a pulse to go out there and hit the ball, then maybe we'll win some ball games, right? Like maybe we'll get enough runs to, and the bullpen will hold it down. You know what I mean? When Hunter can only go 4, but it just seems so risky. It seems so, I don't know. Like you said, an organizational failure to be like, yeah, this is how we're going to go about things. We're not going to, value the power hitters that can get us runs. I don't know. It's a very frustrating week, and we're coming obviously on the back of 2 straight losses in series against teams that we could very well compete with. It seems like we can compete with the Cubs up until the fact that they realize, oh, we can just launch the ball out of the ballpark and you can't.
Yeah. 2019, Suarez had 49 homers. Yasiel Puig had 22. Aristides Aquino had 19. Derek Dietrich had 19. Jesse Winker had 16. Joey Votto had 15.
Yeah, you kind of wish you had that right now. 49 home run guy. Puig, obviously, he didn't necessarily have his best years with the Reds, but yeah, I don't know. Outfielder with 22 home runs, you take that too.
I take that right now for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Pitching staff, we had Luis Castillo, Sonny Gray, Anthony DeSclafani, Tyler Mahle, Tanner Roark. So, I think that I was pretty young. Castillo still, I think. And then Sonny Gray, wasn't that his first year with the team? Or was it 2018? But he wasn't it wasn't like he was it was kind of a surprise how he performed, because he really struggled with the Yankees when they got him.
Yeah. And we got William Wright chiming in and talking about how we had Will Myers, Asdrubal Cabrera, Harrison Bader, Ahmed Rosario, Hunter Renfroe, Dominic Smith. Don't forget Mike Ford, the Mike Ford era.
Yeah.
And now we got a guy that has been added to the roster, the major league roster, not a minor league contract. A guy, a journeyman that I think was last with the Marlins.
Diamondbacks.
See that? This is how little I know about this guy. Mr. Garrett Hampson is now a major league bench player for us, because this weekend against the Cubs, because I think he got signed Thursday.
Friday afternoon.
Okay, so like right before the Cubs series, he got signed and played zero at bats, zero.
He played just as much as Rhys Hines did.
I don't know. Maybe they signed him to be a locker room guy, but like he must be. I think I texted you this. Shout out to his agent for getting him this major league contract and not a minor league contract, because that's usually how the Reds gotta go with guys, is that they'll get like the Harrison Bader, they'll get the Hunter Renfroe on waivers. They get dropped off from teams, at around the trade deadline just to get some bodies to maybe make a difference at that point. But we're talking about May. This is not necessarily the situation where you're picking up major leaguers unless it's, I don't know, in a trade or maybe it's in some sort of DFA situation. I mean, they just DFA'd Arcuria or Syria. I don't want to say his name. The guy from Atlanta.
Arcia.
Arcia. Like, that's a guy you would like to maybe add because obviously he's a name. He won the World Series with the Braves in 2021. Pretty decent infielder. But I don't know. Garrett Hampson, I guess, just on name value isn't doing it for me. And it's frustrating because what is he adding? Just straight up, like, what is he adding at this point to the team?
Yeah, Garrett Hampson's career WAR is 1.8, and Hines, just based off of the little bit he's played this year and last year, he's at a 0.8. So he's a 1 WAR better, and that's over the course of 637 more games than Hines. And he's got 22 more home runs than Hines over the course of his career. It's just, I don't know. It's not like he's getting on base. His on-base percentage is 302 for his career. I don't know what we're doing. The 66 stolen bases, and that's over, I don't know how long he's been playing. He's 30, so he's played
at least 6 seasons, I think.
8 years overall. I don't know. It's pathetic. It's just pathetic. It's a failure. It's when you need to put the ball out of the ballpark and you sign a guy that can't even get on base. I don't even know.
I'm not sure exactly what the relationship between Tito and the front office is in terms of, like, does Tito go to them and say, hey, get me this, get me that? Or is it a situation where just, like, you know, Brad Meter and Nick Kroll just give him a guy off the street? Because I don't think he was even playing this year. Not that I know of. I don't remember him playing against us when the Reds went down to Miami and took 2 out of 3 from us, right? I don't know. It's very head scratching, say the least. Shout out to his agent for sure. But, like, it just ends up being a situation where, like, did we even need him at this point? Like we're lamenting about, like, our lack of power, and they finally brought Benson and Reese Hines up together. And we're like, yes, we're gonna do this.
Go.
Right. But then Garrett Hampson, I don't know. Like, I guess I'm not that, you know, in the weeds of the analytics, or I don't even know if the analytics guys support this decision, to be honest with you. It seems like it could be a slam dunk in the opposite direction of, like, just dunking on the Reds front office of for signing this guy. I don't know. It's just a 1-year deal, to be honest, right? Like, it's nothing long term.
He'll get extended. Unless he decides to go play college football at some D3 school, like the guy who I compare him to is Bubba Thompson, because that's who he is. Bubba Thompson couldn't play defense. He couldn't get on base. He was a pinch runner. And is this guy, I don't know. Like, shout out Michael Valentine in the chat, the Sports Truth podcast. He adds nothing, and you're right. I don't know what the organization's thinking by doing this. A minor league deal, I'd probably get it, but a major league deal and then promoting a prospect who I think Hines is like a top 15 prospect, so it's not like it's, you know, bottom of the prospect list guy, doesn't have that much potential. You're talking about a guy that was drafted early, I think first round, second round, converted him to an outfielder because he was a third baseman, has a cannon. He threw a guy out Monday night in Pittsburgh at home. We don't see that often in our outfield. I don't get it. I just don't get it.
Yeah. William Wright mentions that Chris Taylor was released from the Dodgers, and I missed that one. I saw the Arcia release, so I was kind of like thinking that's a guy the Reds would get, you know, Ahmed Rosario type guy that gets released from a club and may have a second life with the Reds. But, like, yeah, Chris Taylor, someone with pop, 20 home runs 2 times in a career with the Dodgers. Yeah, why not? Like, take a chance in the Great American Ballpark. You never know. You know, it's I don't know. I guess I'm not sure exactly what the offensive organizational philosophy is. It seems, from what we can tell, from what you've stated, it's just we're gonna hit singles and we're gonna put Espinal in the 2-hole because he's a contact guy, you know, and Ellie's gonna bat third and Hayes is gonna bat fourth, and then we're just gonna figure it out. I don't know. It's frustrating after a 2-4 week. Obviously, we're gonna have lots of frustrations. If things go well in Kansas City and Chicago, we may change our tune. But those games are on the road. You'd think 81 games at Great American, you kind of just pencil in 3 or 4 guys that could potentially hit 30 home runs just because they're playing 80 games in Cincinnati, right? Like it's not rocket science that they have a 328 down left field. Rhys Hines could hit 15 home runs at home, and then another 10 on the road, and he's got 25 home runs, right? Like I don't know, maybe it's just too simple, right? For us laymen, us non-baseball people, maybe there's analytics that show that Rhys Hines is not actually the player that we think he is. He's just I don't know. I don't know. It's so frustrating at this point, especially losing to the Cubs, the way that they hit 6 or 7 big home runs against us.
Yeah, like one after another, like a barrage. They just kept doing it.
Yeah. You'd like to think we could do that. You'd like to.
Yeah. I mean, you would think with the ballpark that we play in, you would just. I mean, like I was just scrolling through the prospect list, and the guy that I would think is even, a 20 home run guy, or 25. I don't know if Cam Collier has that in him. He's more of a gap line drive hitter. I mean, he's good at that, but Sal Stewart's an on base machine, doesn't strike out, more of a Joey Votto type player. I mean, and you got to go Arnaldo Antigua. We got him from the Dodgers for the cash for Roki Sasaki, but he's in the ACL. we're 5 years away from him, and then maybe somebody else. I don't even know. There's outside of the top 30 prospect list, Austin Hendrick, but he hasn't proven anything in his 5 years in the organization either. But he does have power. It's just the other stuff with him. But I don't know. I guess we could touch on the manager decisions this past week. What were your thoughts on Monday? And David Bell pictures more for comedic relief, honestly. But I have my opinion. I'll let you say yours first.
Yeah, the thing that I took away from it was the reactions. I don't know. I think Terry Francona is going to have a long leash, a lot of grace from, and maybe not the media after that decision to not pinch hit Espinal on Wednesday, or was it Tuesday night? Tuesday night when they lost 1-0.
Yes.
I think that he'll have a lot of grace. He's got this folksy baseball charm that the media loves, and the Cincinnati media. Honestly, you know what's funny? The funniest thing I took away from the like tough questions Tito has faced in the last couple weeks is, who it's all coming from? Do you recognize the voice on the questions at all?
Charlie G.
Yes, Charlie Goldsmith.
He's the one asking.
Yeah, and I don't know if the media is just him and maybe a couple other people, but he was the guy that was pressing him, saying, "Hey, why didn't you pinch hit Espinal with the 8th or 9th inning with a right-handed hitter, and you got Benson in there, and you got Lux, who are both left-handers, right?" And Terry was kind of like, "What?" It threw him off for a second, because he was like, "What are you talking about? What do you mean?" And he's like, "Why didn't you pinch hit it? Why did you keep Espinal in?" And then he said, "Espinal is our best hitter," and that
set Twitter on fire.
Yeah, it was. maybe not the best choice of words. I understand, and we talked about it a little bit. I understand him saying he's our best hitter in terms of contact, putting the ball in play, wanting to manufacture runs. But we're like, come on. Like, this is a late inning situation. It got Nick Kirby so riled up that he swore on his broadcast in so much that he defended David Bell's honor. He was like, everyone would have crucified David Bell if he didn't do that, if he didn't pinch hit. Because David Bell is, a bit beholden to the analytics. And the analytics say Will Benson, Gavin Lux, lefty on righty, pinch hit, right? So I guess my overall takeaway is Tito's had a couple of these weird decisions, the Jabot decision on opening day, some other decisions with keeping a consistent two-hitter that puts the ball in play instead of putting Ellie there. And now this, I don't know if these decisions are going to start going against him, especially if the results don't happen after. But it's certainly going to be stuff they point to if the Reds end up having 90 losses on the season or miss the playoffs by a game. So my takeaway is that it could be building to something down the road. Hopefully not. Hopefully this is stuff we can laugh about later. But at the point that we're in this season where we're not 500, we're obviously struggling to win games consistently. This can be bad. This can be bad down the road.
Yeah, and Reds Daily for Greg Kuffner put out his article on Sports Illustrated after the game, and it was Francona speaking after the game today. He said, some lineups make you pay for your mistakes more than others. This is a good lineup, and they feel really good about themselves right now. Sometimes you make mistakes against other lineups, and you don't pay as much. These guys, when you make mistakes, they hit the ball out of the ballpark, talking about the Cubs. Yeah. And then they asked him what the team needs to do to go on a run. And he said, Francona wouldn't look too far ahead. I think we need to try to win tomorrow. I will always feel that way. And one thing I wanted to say, I don't know if you remember Francona's press conference when they announced him. One thing he said is, you're never going to hear him talk about payroll. You're never going to hear him talking about signing people. He's going to trust the people in the front office to make the right moves. He's only going to put the lineups together.
Sounds like his first mistake.
Yeah, but what did they tell him when they signed him? But my main takeaway is Espinal is, in terms of putting the bat on the ball, the Reds' best hitter right now. I understand it doesn't look good, and it sucks because he grounded into a double play.
Yeah.
But that wasn't the only time during the game that happened. Friedel hit a leadoff triple and never scored. And then I think Austin Hayes had a double. Never got, and those were all leadoff. Got on base, at least extra bases, and they never came around to score. But we're going to crucify a seventh, eighth inning, or was it top of the ninth when that happened. I get it, but I don't know. I'm not as angry at him for hitting Espinal there, just because Espinal does have the ability to just put one in play somewhere where they ain't. But if let's just say Benson does come in and he grounds into a double play, what's the take going to be then? Because that can happen. Yeah. It's just, it happened when you don't want it to happen. But I don't know. It's not I can't blame somebody who's been with the team for 2 months. Still, you're figuring out who you have, what they are. I mean, David Bell was here 6 years, and we never finished third. We never finished above third in the division. We made the playoffs 1 year because of a crapshoot with the expanded playoffs, and then shortened season and all that good stuff. But for one, I think there's no way they fire him for this season.
No,
It would take him losing like 100 games to do that.
even then, I think he stays. A 3-year contract. I think he's here for at least 2 years.
I mean, David Bell lost 100 games.
Mhm.
Forget that.
Yep.
And I'm not anti David Bell. I don't like his press conferences. At least Terry Francona answers you, and he's not mumbling his way through it.
We're close. Close.
A little bit. But I don't know. I think year 2, it sucks because I don't want to look ahead. But year 2 under Francona, maybe they get a roster, hopefully, more tailored around his style of play. I think Ellie's still going to take a leap. He's still 23. He's going to take a leap forward. And McLean isn't as bad as he is right now. I don't know. I don't want to get too future centric, but
yeah,
I'm not blaming Francona for like everybody's critiquing every little thing that he does, but then when we win, it's like, hey, David Bell masterclass today, or Terry Francona masterclass today. But then you lose. Oh, well, why do you do that? Why do you do this? Why do you do that? Why do you do this? And it's like, come on, just let the professionals do their job and let's just be fans.
For sure. It is playing the result a lot, especially like you said, Espinal grounding the double play compounds the decision. I think also the fact that Benson was the player of the week before kind of puts a little bit, and he didn't start every game this week. So he kind of like what are we doing here? Like, we're not riding the hand. We're not even letting the guy have an opportunity to bat. You know what I mean? So, like, I think that factors into the criticism a bit. But, yeah, playing the decision. Like, if Espinal gets that hit, gets the guy in, obviously totally different discussion. Tito's the hero. Espinal's the hero. It's obviously – and then Benson's like, oh, well, it wasn't his time. But I guess it's just playing the result a bit. But at the same time, like, Benson started one game in the Pirates series. I know they had a lefty and Falter in the second game.
Yeah, there was 2 lefties that series.
So it's like the 2 lefties present a problem for Benson.
But then you put him in when the bullpen comes in. I understand that part too.
Like, that's the normal baseball logic, and that's probably why they're kind of like piling on to Tito. Espinal, if anything, the decision is that Espinal is Terry Francona's favorite baseball player of all time. That's all I can think of, because
he's a Tito guy.
Big time. Like, extend him is basically what I'm thinking. You're talking about extending Hampson. I think 10-year contract for Espinal for sure. So, but yeah, I don't know. David Bell. I think everyone was like making the jokes. You know, send this clip to David Bell to make him laugh. I'm sure he was watching. I'm sure people sent him the clip, and I don't know if he necessarily is that kind of vindictive person, but he probably was like, I've been there. I know when the media criticizes every little move, and then I don't get credit when I do make the right move.
Francona's got 2 rings, and David Bell's out of a manager job right now. So I'll leave it at that. That's my final thoughts. But I get it. It was his first job. Francona didn't do well in Philadelphia, but it all comes down to organizational fit too. And it's just the only time in the last 30-something years that we've had a manager and an organizational fit was Dusty Baker. And it's just the players on that team just worked out right. Now, I think this team's got potential to be more talented outside of Joey Votto, but I think Ellie can just be something special. And then McLean, there's talent for sure. And I think they could be more talented than that 2012 team. It's just there's nobody hits the ball out of the ballpark.
Yeah. Well, speaking of Ellie, Ricky, do we have a red hot red of the week ready for you? I've got a couple. Like I said, I always prepare a couple just in case we overlap and whatnot. But who would be your red hot red of the week?
Well, I guess the most obvious one, just based off they're on a hitting streak, would be Spencer Steer. But I mean, he's still not tearing the cover off the ball.
He's struggled a little bit today.
He is hitting 364 in his last 7 games and 308 in his last 15. That's a whole lot better than what he was to start the season. I'll take that. But he's still not hitting home runs, and he's not, driving the ball in the gaps a whole lot. But, yeah, I guess out of the minimum, I guess him or Jose Trevino when he's been playing would be my 2 if I had to pick 2.
Yeah. Jose Trevino, probably early front runner of team MVP for sure, I think.
Future manager?
Future manager, yeah. Extend
Player
him
manager.
Now. He's already got his extension. What am I saying? Extend him now. But yeah.
Extend him again.
Another 3 years. Yeah, give him the job as soon as Tino retires. But yeah, actually, I had 2 different guys. Some guy that kind of been going under the radar as far as it was kind of my second guy is Andrew Abbott. Andrew Abbott's been playing really well. Yeah. He's obviously got that situation where once he gets to kind of July, August, September, he kind of fades. Just when he gets a certain inning limit, he kind of hits. But right now, 4-0, 1.77 ERA. You love to see that out of a 5th starter. That shout out to Andrew Abbott for getting the job done, especially because you got Hunter out for a little bit and you had some issues with, should we pitch Chase Petty, should we not? And they went with the bullpen. And Andrew Abbott, when he gets his turn, he goes out there and I think he hasn't given up more than like 4 runs in the last 8 outings or something like that. So I don't know. That was my second guy, but my first guy, because I feel like he doesn't get the love when he is hitting or is doing what he's supposed to be doing, is Elly De La Cruz. Because this week he became the fastest player to 300 hits, 150 RBIs, and 100 stolen bases. Like the fastest guy. He did it in 328 games. And I think the next guy was like 329. I forget it wasn't Bonds. I forget the guy was, but he's setting records. Obviously, he's got the strikeouts, the errors. Everyone's gonna point to that, but like we've got a unicorn here. Like we got a guy that's literally hitting better than anybody since 1900. Yeah. Like let's not like make sure that this guy is gonna be like ruined because the fan base keeps just dumping on him any chance they get. I don't think he's a guy that really is tuned into the media nonsense, or the social media nonsense, to be honest, because if he was, I'm sure he'd be like, what's wrong with these people in Cincinnati? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. And we talked about it earlier this week as well with the shut down the false narrative that Elly is overrated. I don't think a guy that is the fastest to those stats is overrated. Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm being very simplistic, but come on. Like, and he played well today. Obviously, he's not hitting the barrels like we talked about with the advanced stats that you brought up. But when he does, what are you going to say then? Like, oh, I'm sorry, I doubted you. Like, no one's going back and apologizing about their negative receipts. But I'm sure Ricky will bring it up, probably for Facebook comments.
The receipt guy.
Yeah, I'm sure Ricky will bring it up, and maybe we'll get somebody to come on and apologize about how they doubted that Elly isn't what he's supposed to be. Like, I don't know. That's just me. I wanted, I guess, to part 2 to my Elly is not overrated segment. Yeah. Just a little extension.
Yeah, so. I guess my shut it down was just leave Tito alone. I don't know. The old man screaming, "Get off my lawn!"
Yeah. How many World Series have you won? Right? Like Tito's got 2, so maybe listen to that guy.
And the curse too. I think he should have more say in what's going on with the roster. To be honest, I think he should step in a little bit more, be more vocal about guys that he wants. Give me this guy. Give me somebody that can hit the ball out of the ballpark, and maybe he'll do that. I think hot take here. Maybe he was doing Hines a favor, just saying, "Hey, go play AAA every day."
It could be. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I think Mike chimes in saying that we're having a lot of talent. The season's tough, but we don't want to feel like we're wasting it. Especially like Andrew Abbott, man. Like because he has these great starts to the season in April, May, June. You don't want to waste a guy that's 4-0 with a 1.77 ERA, right? You want that to be helping your ball club contend with the Cubs to get up there and make a playoff appearance or at least be right in there, right in the mix. It stinks that it like we talked about many times. It's kind of borderline criminal that we're wasting all these good pitching performances. And we got another good one at Abbott this week. So
Yeah.
Come on, Reds. Help your guys out a little bit, just a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, yeah. I feel like I've been talking about Ellie, just in my notes this whole week. So maybe I got to get some stuff off my chest a little bit more in these live sessions. But yeah. All right, Rick. Do you have anything else on Red Hot Red of the Week?
No, I'm actually pulling up a comment of the week here.
Okay. Gotcha.
I guess for the Red Hot Red of the Week, just to kind of continue on it. Yeah, I forgot that with the Ellie thing. Stevenson just had his 400th career hit, and he's been in the bigs for 5 years now. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Did you have any Facebook comment or just social media comments of the week? Because I have one, but I think we kind of talked about it on Wednesday's show. I'll bring it up anyway.
I've been off of it a little bit this week, and maybe just for my own mental health. But what we got here? For
Error de la strikeout. No concept of the strike zone. Horrible with runners in scoring position. Leads baseball in errors and top 3 in strikeouts.
I think that was the stat that I saw earlier, maybe earlier this week or last week, that the Reds had gone like 1 for 26 with runners in scoring position. So it's not just Ellie. Come on. I guess, again, maybe we're just kind of using this platform, using this time to say get off his back, get off Tito's back as well.
Shut it down, part 3.
Yeah, I get it. It's frustrating. I think I texted you earlier in the week. It's one of the worst feelings when you don't have a good baseball team, and it's one of the best feelings in the world when you know that your baseball team's good. The problem with the Reds is that this team could be good, but then they do something to make you lose all hope or make you lose all confidence in them. Like lose to the Pirates in two out of 3 games. I don't know. It's yet they don't talk about how he was the fastest since 1900 to get 300 hits, 150 RBIs, and 100 stolen bases. Yeah. I don't know if that came across their radar, but Reds fans are going to Reds fan on Facebook.
I just go show you that we're never happy, and I understand. Like you want to win, and I want to win, but at the same time, when you have a player with the talent that Ellie has,
yeah,
you got to give him a little bit of a leash to improve, and it just. I don't know. Like he's so young. Like when did Joey Votto get called up? He was like 23 when he got called up.
Right? 2007. Yeah.
So yeah, he was in his 20s, and like Ellie got called up at 21. So I mean, like he was the youngest player since Jay Bruce to get promoted to the major league roster. I'm giving him time, and we're in officially. He got called up June 6th, 23. And then when June 6th, 25 hits, that's 2 full seasons. You can't judge anybody off of that. I don't know. I'm giving him time.
Yeah. Do you think that the Joey Votto experience distorted everybody's vision on a guy that, because Joey Votto literally was the epitome of having a great baseball eye. You know what I mean? More walks than strikeouts. Do you think that distorted the whole fan base? Like that everybody has to be that way?
I think so.
It makes sense because I mean, I think there was a stat in 2024. There was only 4 guys that had more walks and strikeouts that played like on an everyday basis. I forget their names. Like I think Soto's one of them, right?
Yeah.
But like Aaron Judge strikes out way more than he walks. Like I don't know. I think the Joey Votto experience here in Cincinnati, doing it for 17 years, walking more than he struck out, having a great baseball eye, a feel for the game. I think it just ruined baseball fans here. They're like, yeah, you everybody should be like that.
Yeah.
But not today. No, nobody does that today. I think the one guy that didn't qualify is like Kyle Tucker, but he didn't play. He played half the season last year. He had more walks and strikeouts. But like 4 total guys.
Doesn't happen
in all of Major League Baseball. 4 guys. This is not like a new concept that strikeouts are up. They've been up for the last 10 years. What are you gonna do? I don't know.
Yeah, and I guess that kind of gets us onto our next segment. There's not a whole lot of guys in the farm system that are going to do that, except for one guy. But I don't know. 3 up, 3 down. You wanna spotlight these guys?
Yeah, this 3 up, 3 down is really pitcher centric. Like I don't know if that's because our hitters not been doing as well. Sal Stewart's been doing great, and I feel like he could probably be up every week. But I want to talk about a couple of different guys. For the AAA level, Zach Maxwell has had pretty good last 4 outings. Hasn't given up a run in his last 4 outings. Has a win and a save in the last 4 outings. So he's been really good, especially because he had a real bad outing that blew up his ERA to like 8 or 9. And he's been kind of working it down since then. Now he's about 5 ERA. But that's the life of a relief pitcher, right? Like you have one bad outing, and you spend the rest of your season trying to get your ERA down. But shout out to Zach Maxwell, potential also future closer, or at least competitive for the job, set up one at the very least, for the Redlegs in the future. Double A, a guy that's been throwing really well, not named Chase Burns, is Jose Acuna. He had 6 innings, 0 runs, 5 strikeouts, and his season ERA is 1.66 at Double A Chattanooga. So, we talk about Chase Burns is ready. I don't know. Jose Acuna could be ready. He's been looking great down there at Chattanooga. Maybe he's got a promotion in his near future. And Luke Hayden, our favorite Dayton Dragon, had another solid outing. I think he's like 4-0 in the season. 5 innings, 1 hit, 6 strikeouts. Just, I don't know, man. I guess maybe we have too many good pitchers. Maybe you're right. Maybe there's a situation where if we are close, we end up having these prospects ready for trade packages. Maybe. I don't know. You hate to see it, but I mean, there's a logjam of great starting pitching as far as I can tell in our minor league system. So that might be something to think about for our future podcast that we'll have. When we're maybe getting close to maybe when we're getting close to whatever trade deadline and whatnot. But anyway, also shout out Shingen Lin. Yeah. He had 2 innings for the ACL Reds. He gave up 1 run, but he had 3 strikeouts. I think he topped out at 97, is what I read. So shout out to him. First pitching appearance for the ACL Reds for Shingen Lin.
He also had a walk-off sacrifice fly last night.
Yeah, shout out to him. Future unicorn for the Reds. Any other thoughts that you got for these guys?
Yeah, Maxwell, his fastball is really just dominant. It's just his control. Same with Jose Acuna. If he could limit the walks, like they're going to be really, really good pitchers. Luke Hayden, for us, I guess more specifically me, he's a local kid. He's from Bloomington, Indiana. It's about an hour and a half north of me. So a little bit there. I think he just got added to the top 30 prospect list too. So there's something to look out for. He didn't start the season on the top 30. So yeah, that's a lot. And then honorable mention for me is Sal Stewart, obviously. Just kind of touch on the offensive side. In May, he has just been incredible. So May, he's batting 360 with a 402 on base, and he's slugging 500. So he's really close to a promotion. I
Yeah.
think he should be in AAA, and he could honestly make the major league roster at some point this season if he does this good in AAA.
Yeah, absolutely. Fully agree. Now we got our guys that have not been performing too well. 3 down. We got a couple guys that just I hate to see on this list. Rhett Lauder only went 12 pitches. He had done ACL Reds rehab start a couple weeks ago. Pitched, I think, 1 outing for the Dayton Dragons, and then got optioned to the AAA ball club Louisville Bats this week. But he had some sort of oblique or something. It wasn't in the pitching arm. He was holding his side. He only went 12 pitches for his outing, and it got a little bit of a setback. So hopefully it's nothing major. I haven't seen anything in detail at maybe I missed it, but it wasn't look like anything to do with the arm or anything like that. So unfortunately, he didn't have the best of outings this week. Jay Allen, unfortunately, again on this list for AA. He had such a good season at single A. You like in Dayton that you think that he'll kind of eventually catch his stride, but he's been really struggling at Chattanooga. Went 0 for 11 this week, and his overall batting average is 163. He's playing every day, so he's getting the opportunities for the most part. It's not happening yet, and hopefully he's going to figure it out sooner than later. It kind of goes to that, what Clay Stone had talked about. Our outfield minor league depth is not great, and unfortunately, Jay Allen's kind of part of that. So hopefully he's going to right the ship sooner than later. And Adam Sirbanowski had a rough start for Dayton. Only went 2 1/3 inning. Gave up 6 hits and 5 earned runs. And he's 0-4 on the season. He's listed up there as a top prospect, at least from Fangraphs. Not necessarily going to be called up soon. I think they have a 2027 debut for him, but he's a left-handed pitcher that hopefully is coming up the ranks and will be, a top prospect for the Reds going forward. Any thoughts on these guys you got?
I guess the one I really want to harp on is just Jay Allen. He's kind of the example of the Reds' organizational failures. Just when we do draft bats, they're just not panning out. Other than the most 2 recent ones in Cam Collier and Sal Stewart, but he was the 2022 comp pick. I think he was from. Who was he from? I don't remember who he was from that we lost, but him and Austin Hendrick just being the last 2 first round pick outfielders that they were kind of harping on. We want power, we want speed. He's struggling. He's just not doing well at all, honestly. And in May, he's batting 156 with the 345 on base and 156 slug. So,
you're never gonna guess who his comp pick was for.
Who was it?
Trevor Bauer.
No, really?
Yeah.
Oh man, that's terrible. We got Sal Stewart from Nick Castellano, so that's a plus.
Yeah.
But
who's that?
We do have a guest we're going to bring on. I have the pleasure of calling him a friend. I write for him on www.weLikeSportsPC.com. He's a Reds fan, lives in Arizona. He lives really close to the Goodyear training facility. You can catch him on X. His podcast is the 643 and Out Guys, the Sports Truth. Mr. Michael Valentine. How's it going, Mike?
Gentlemen, how you doing?
Doing all right. How you doing?
Yeah. Oh, make me the center of attention. Look at this.
Yeah, that's where the guests are supposed to go. For us, anyway.
So I've been. Go ahead, gentlemen. Go ahead.
I would say this is sort of unplanned. I just wanted to ask you, what was your thoughts just on this week in general?
I look at it as this: the Cincinnati Reds seem to play up to their competition, and then they seem to play down to their competition.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, that's more managerial than what it is player associated. I'm disappointed in Tito Francona. I'll put it to you that way. How about that?
So
I agree to a point. Like I'm not ready to harp on him too heavy, but I think a lot of it comes down to just the players that they have too.
Okay, and I was just looking at their injury list, right? I mean, how many other teams would be around 500 with guys like Christian Encarnacion Strand on the injured list, with Jake Fraley, with Carson Spires, who started out with the team, with Noel B. Marte, with Jameer Candelaria, with Tyler Callahan. All these guys have been on the roster. Brandon Williamson, even. All these guys have been on the roster, and now they can't because they're injured. How many other teams could suffer that many injuries and still be at 500? That's another question I think we need to talk about and answer.
Yeah, for sure. The 2024 Reds would be my answer, because they seemingly do this every single year. They have a long injury list that it could run from the pitching staff to the hitters. It's I don't know. My take earlier a couple weeks ago around the Mother's Day series when they lost to the Houston Astros is that it feels like it's not necessarily history repeating itself, but history echoing, in terms of that they just don't have enough to get the job done. They organizationally build their roster with the pitching staff, drafting guys, like Hunter Green, Lodolo. They trade for Singer, and I think Singer's been a bright spot, to be honest with you, because I don't know if Jonathan India really makes this a better club in 2025 right now. I think it's just the same thing. But I don't know. Offensively, it's just where my frustrations lie. They'll go for 24 runs on Easter, and then they'll score 1 run in 2 games against the Pittsburgh Pirates, who everybody knows the Pittsburgh Pirates are horrible. So I don't know. I don't know what manager can do to make a team play more consistently. I guess is my thought process. Maybe it's the lineup. I don't know. He seems pretty beholden to a certain way of putting his lineups together. But I don't know. We had a manager last year, David Bell, who had Ellie batting 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 6th, 8th, all over the lineup at this point in the season. So I don't know. Is it better to be flexible and change constantly, or is it to have rigid and standards and have the players play up to those standards?
Well, I've never done this with 3 people, so I'm the one usually hosting the show. So I'm looking back and forth like, okay, can I talk now? But I don't want to talk over top of you, gentlemen. I respect you guys way too much for that. Just a great show, and I appreciate being on it for a moment. Here's the problem for me offensively. They don't have a number 4 hitter. They've got a good leadoff guy in TJ Friedel.
Yeah.
They've got a good number 2 guy, if he can ever turn it around, in Matt McLean. I really think he could be a great number 2 hitter. You put Ellie at 3rd. I mean, when you've got a guy that Austin Hayes is your cleanup batter right at the moment, he should be 5 or 6. We always thought Tyler Stevenson might be that cleanup batter, but he has just never come out of his funk ever since he kind of got that shoulder injury way back when we could all tell it when he was trying to throw the ball to first and he broke that collarbone. He's just never been the same guy since then. They don't have a guy who when he walks up to the plate, people go, oh, there's a chance for a big home run here, right? They don't have that guy. And when you don't have that guy, that's just a huge deficiency in your lineup. And please, let me put this out there. Robert Jr. or whatever his name is from Chicago, he's not the answer, all right? He's not the answer, people.
Yeah, I agree. And I think just based on the player that we do have, I think Austin Hayes is the perfect guy for that spot. But in a real lineup, you would really want that to be Christian Encarnacion Strand. Like he could be the thumper, but he's just not healthy, and he hasn't been healthy, and I don't know if he ever will be healthy. I think that could be just a function of just the type of body he has. I think he's just maybe too strong for his frame. But I think the real problem organizationally is that there's nobody deep in the farm system that could be that guy either. Like they're going to have to go outside of the organization to get somebody that's going to drive the ball out of the ballpark, because Reese Hines can do it. We saw it last year for that stretch in July where he had 11 extra base hits in a week. Like he was I mean, he won Player of the Week in his debut week. Like, how often does that happen? But I guess, who would you go after? Like, if
I knew you were going
Mike
to ask me
Trout
that.
hasn't been healthy, would you give up prospects and have LA cover money? Or like the guy that I wanted was Cody Bellinger. Just his history at the ballpark. I'll have to find the stats, but I've posted them on X before. Like, his numbers in Great American are like plus 330 batting average, like 20 home runs. Like, his swing is made for that ballpark.
You're going to ask me who I'm going to go after. I think right now you go after the guy that has the 5th most home runs in the National League and plays left field for a terrible team out in Anaheim, and give me Taylor Ward.
Yeah.
I think he's obtainable. I mean, you're going to have to give up something to get him. The Angels are in a spot kind of like the White Sox and kind of like the Colorado Rockies, except maybe a year or two ahead. They're going to want some of these guys. They're going to want. I don't trade Sal. I probably don't trade Arroyo. I don't trade Duno. But I'm thinking about I don't trade Cam Collier. But everybody else in the organization, and that's the thing. This team has a really good farm system. It's not like we don't have anything to trade.
Right.
So I don't understand why we don't do it. It's like they want to hang on to all these guys, and they're all, one of these guys is going to be good. One of them is going to be good, and none of them have been. So let's trade. How long have the Reds been the team that has traded the major league players for all these prospects, and we just pile them up, and we get nothing? The Nick Martinez's of the world, and even the Nick Martinis of the world, right? We go out there and get that guy and cross our fingers. Oh, he's going to be our savior, right? And where does he at now, right? We go out and get Kyle Farmer and cross our fingers. Not that I don't like Kyle Farmer. I got a whole bunch of Kyle Farmer autographs in back of me back here. But he's just not the guy you're looking for. I don't necessarily want bad guys, but I don't want good guys. I want a number 4 hitter that gives me 30 bombs and at least 20 doubles a year. And when he walks up to the plate, the pitcher has to breathe a couple times before he throws that first pitch to him. That's what I want.
Yeah, for sure. Austin Hayes also kind of falls in that category as fingers crossed. 1 year, $5 million.
Yeah.
It's just the Ty France, Espinal has proven to be a guy that they've hit on in terms of just taking a risk on a guy that used to be good, former All-Star. I don't know. I think that's just small market mentality to kind of put it in a broad brush. We had Moustakas. Jamer Candelario is the guy that, not necessarily the big bopper, because he was known for gap power, hit 20 home runs, I think, his first season in 2023, if I'm remembering right.
Yeah.
So he's not the savior, the 30 home run, 40 home run savior, but that's the type of swings that the Castellinis, Meter, Krall are willing to take. They're not willing to even go after Robert. Even if he isn't the answer, they're not going to go after him anyway. Like, that's the funny thing, is that Taylor Ward seems like that kind of middle of the road type of guy, that not a big name, not a, well-established product that is leading, the majors in home runs, but maybe that is a good one. I haven't seen that gone around, but maybe we got to make some phone calls to 100 Joe Nooks Hall Way. Make sure they know that Taylor Ward's available.
I'll get on that. Now, let me ask you this, gentlemen. What about Spencer Steer? Can Spencer Steer become that guy
this year?
I don't know. My thing with Steer is that I think he might have peaked early. I hope not. I hope that he could be. I don't think he's going to be a 30 home run guy, but I think he could easily be the guy behind the cleanup spot that put him in the 5 hole. I think that's a good spot for him. I think, what was it, 2023? He had a 2020 season. And then, was it last year? He had like 92 RBIs. Like, he could. I just worry about him just not maybe peaking, I guess. It's just my thought.
I'm not sure about Steer, because they have some weird situation around him where he was hitting 100, 120 for the longest time. and they weren't willing to bench him or put him in the minors to figure something out. Supposedly he's had a long enduring shoulder injury since June of 2024 when he ran into an outfield wall and has been basically playing through it ever since. And then spring training, they decided to say, oh, yeah, maybe we should get him on a throwing program to figure out if his shoulder's all right. So I don't know. The Spencer Steer thing, most cynically, I think he should be one of the category of guys. If this is a 76-win ball club, like Fraley, Friedel, Steer, everybody's available to trade for prospects or whatever ends up they can get for them. Because if we're just going to do the same thing we've been doing the last couple of years, then it's not going to be any better if we have Steer hitting 200 for the next 3 or 4 months. That's not going to get you into the playoffs, I don't think. So I don't know. I like to think he is going to be what they say, like he'll get back to the averages on the back of his baseball card, but he's got to have a hot June to do that.
Can I throw out a name for you guys? Alec Boehm from Philadelphia.
You mentioned it before.
There was rumors of him being available just because I don't think Philadelphia wants to pay him as well as all the guys they're paying now. He's 28. He's also 6'5". He plays third, but I think he could move the first. This year he's batting .272, 4 home runs, 20 RBIs, 693 OPS. His career is a .277 with a 739 OPS. So he's a little down, but I don't think he's too far off. I think he's a guy. I think there was actually people that said that they could trade Steer for him straight up. It'd be major leaguer for major leaguer. And that's been one of the things that Krall has said they're going to have to do is trade major leaguer for major leaguers. They did it with Jonathan India and Brady Singer. I don't know. I think if they could make that happen, I'd be okay. In the last 7 games, he's batting .355, .357 in 15 games, and .330 his last 30 games. So he seems like he could be like that right-handed power bat for us if we could get him. If you could somehow swing a way to get him and Taylor Ward, that way you have an outfielder and an infielder with power, I think that would be like my 2 moves I'd go after.
Yeah, you need another infielder though.
Yeah, Boehm plays third, but I think they said he has played first. I could see him moving to first. I don't think Steer's that good of a first baseman, and if he's not going to play in the outfield, I don't know where else you're going to put him. But I don't know. They're similar age. Boehm's 28. Steer's 27, I think.
Well, I tell you
yeah,
what.
He's 27.
Okay, hang on. I'm doing a whole lot of research over here because just as much as this wasn't planned to have me on your show, I wasn't planned to be on the show. So I'm over here typing stuff in, doing research while we're talking, right? If you can see me getting close and I'm doing crazy stuff, and he's like, "What is that guy doing? He sucks." Bring him on the show for because he's trying to type and get stuff put together. Let me stick with the same team. Let me give you a guy who's from Middletown, Ohio, that plays for that same team.
Uh-huh.
You guys know who that is?
Yeah, Mr. Schwarber.
Mr. Schwarber. No, we don't. Although honestly, I'd love to have him back. Yeah. And I wonder what you would have to give. So I'm doing a whole bunch of stuff here. I'm looking at our top prospects, right? So here's our top 5. Tell me, would you give up Chase Burns for anybody? No.
Burns is one. He's my number 1.
Okay. What about Lauder, Stewart, Collier, or Arroyo? Those are the top 5.
I'd trade Lauder and Arroyo.
What about Chase Petty?
I'm not done with him yet.
Okay. What if we go on down a little bit further to Luis May? We've seen him, Zach Maxwell, kind of the same guy, right?
Yeah, I would say that arms in the bullpen are hard to get, and I think May's probably one that you probably want to keep around. I'm not sure about Maxwell yet. Haven't seen him in the majors yet. May seems to be good enough to keep.
Yeah.
But you know that the Phillies closer just got suspended, right?
Right.
would you package a deal with May in it so that they could have May, keep him for the long haul, and then you could get Schwarber for the rest of this season and try to sign him because this is his free agent year, and then try to sign him afterward?
You think the Kesselines would extend Schwarber?
Local guy, they might.
They would at least give us hope.
Yeah, I just say the same thing with Alec Baum and Taylor Ward. They're coming up their last year of arbitration. I don't see them really, like, Kesselny is extending them either. Like, we're having trouble just extending McLean around here, and he doesn't have the resume that Baum or Taylor have either. So it's like, I don't know, man. This is what I'm talking about, small market mentality. They're just rolling the dice on Austin Hayes and Espinal and stuff like that just to think that they could get enough offense and that the pitching staff will get them through, the 9 innings without having a blow up like they did this weekend with the Cubs. So I don't know. In an ideal world, for sure, these two guys we're talking about, Ward, Baum, for sure, would love to see them in a Reds uniform, but I'm not sure yet.
Yeah,
right, so
Kyle Schwarber has 17 home runs this season so far, and the Reds as a team have 54.
Who's the leading home run Reds?
Right. It's not like he would make a little difference.
Yeah.
Okay, so then if you don't think they'll extend somebody, let me give you somebody on the team that should give us power that has already been extended. Maybe this team has overshot themselves a little bit, and they thought they'd be a little better than they are right now. And I think you can swoop in and possibly get this guy. So what if we go to the Sacramento A's, whatever they're called right now? Had they officially been called the Las Vegas A's? And let's go in and get Brent Rooker.
That'd be nice for sure. What do you give up for that? I feel like the A's would drive a hard bargain. They weren't willing to give up Mason Miller because they had team control on him last year, but that's a different situation with the closer.
It is. So I believe they signed into a 3-year deal. I should be looking this up while I talk to you here.
Yeah.
It was a 3-year deal, but with the A's, like, they had to do it because of the there's some bargaining agreement from where the relocation thing where they got approved for relocation. They're in a temporary spot. They have to pay payroll as sanctioned by MLB as a part of their agreement. They actually signed a pitcher too. I think Luis Severino. He was their record contract of anybody. He's their most expensive player ever. So
correct. So
there's a possibility that you're right. I like that take just because they might want to get him off their books too.
Right. So we talked about this on our podcast. I say ours like it's the three of ours, but on the 643 and out guys, that's myself and Gabriel Estrada. Now we have a show called The Sports Truth on our network. So let me give you a little bit. So his 2026 salary, this is Brent Rooker's. It's $8 million in 2026. In 27, it's 14. In 28, it's 15. In 29, it's 19. And in 2030, it's 22. And then there's a vesting option for the next year as well. If they, we won't get into all of that, but so 8, 14, 15, 19, 22. Not awful. He would be probably the most expensive person on the team. What do you think?
Rick?
Silence is not good, gentlemen.
I don't think it's terribly likely, just because of the fact that there is a lot of team control, and he's 30 and he's going to be 35, 36 at the end of that contract. And I don't think he's a player that you'd want to pay that much money at that age. But if you could get him for decent prospects and then maybe he gets you over that hump and then you can trade him before his contract gets too high, you could possibly do that. But I don't know.
Yeah, but see, I think what we're doing right now is what the front office is doing right now, right? So we're looking at all these possibilities, right? And we're just like, oh no, let's not do that. Oh no, we can't do that. No. So you know what? We'll take a flyer on this $1 million guy, or we'll take a flyer on this $1 million guy. And then us as fans and us as podcasters are going, wait, what are you doing? How come you won't take a risk? And we're sitting here naming off people who are risks. And we're all going, I'm not sure if there's the bad thing. He does this. No, he doesn't do that well. And he's not this and he's not that. But I really think that this is the year that they have to try. When I saw the score was like 8-4, I was in the grocery with my wife, and I was like, oh, man, they're actually going to take this series.
Yeah,
and I was happy, right? And then, when we were done in this grocery store and I looked at my phone as we were walking outside, I was like, oh, you've got to be kidding me. Really? That's when it got to be 7-8. And I was like, oh, my gosh, they are going to mess around and lose this game and lose this series. And they were up by like 4 or 5 runs, and I actually put the phone in my pocket and I looked at my wife and I said, I'm about to give up on this team. And she went, yeah, right. As we were walking out to the car, right? So, I'm just going to keep living this awful nightmare, I guess.
Yeah. This is also the same organization that signed Garrett Hampson this week. So, Mike, your nightmares might continue. So, I guess what I'm to address kind of what you're talking about in terms of like, go for it. Like, I don't know, like, Mr. Castellini, Bob Castellini's not getting any younger. So, and I know he kind of handed over the reins to Phil as CEO. And I don't know if that is an indication of him stepping back or stepping away from the team, but he's still owner of the team. You'd think he'd have a little bit more urgency, to say the least, about getting a roster out there that seems, like you said, imposing, to say the least. I like Austin Hayes. He's worked out compared to what he's being paid, and his production is way above that. Like, he's actually kind of a steal compared to like what they were looking for. We were talking about this earlier, like Jerkson Purifoy is on the PED list, but he went for 45 million, 48 million, whatever it was, in Atlanta. And then Santander, Santander's 90 million, and he's hitting like 170 in Toronto. So like comparatively, he's been kind of one of the better signings for at least what the Reds can possibly go for. But what does that mean going forward for contending? I don't know. It like I said, I feel like they're just hoping that guys work out, hoping that Ellie and McLean are the guys that they're supposed to be, and the other guys kind of fill in around them. But it'd be lovely to have Alex Bohm, a guy that has playoff experience, plays winning baseball in Philadelphia, on your roster. But I don't know, like, what has Jamer Candelario really done for this club? He's supposed to be that guy to come in and be the veteran presence that's been there, done that. Not really not this.
Yeah, don't show us this. These are lies on paper, sir.
I mean, he was right about improving the community involvement. So like that's I think a check for them, reaching out. And what did he say? Yeah. Well, there's no telling if they are resting, because it says they won't rest until you're happy. So they could be working at all hours, for all we know, every single day, while trying to get the right guy for the right position. So, yeah.
I threw out this name earlier while I was still chatting before I got so graciously brought on the show. What if they would sign JD Martinez? I mean, if you're going to take a 1-year gamble on somebody and give me somebody with power, why don't you sign JD Martinez and let's take a gamble on him? He's still out there, right? I got his stats pulled up here.
He's
free agent, yeah.
He's been working out. They've talked about him. He said he's ready to sign with any team that wants him. It's like, what's it going to hurt? But
I don't know. Is it a situation where like his asking price is too high? Is that what the situation may be for a lot of teams?
It can't be that high, can it? He's 36 years old. I mean, he only hit 16 home runs last year, but he hit 33 the year before that. Let's see, how old is he? So he's actually 37, almost 38, because he's 37 years and 277 days, according to Baseball Reference. So, here's my thing, though, right? So we have talked about, between the three of us, and we've brought up names, and every name that we brought up, we're like, I don't know. This is a guy that you can really take a chance on. Sign him to a 1-year deal. This is Austin Hayes 2.0, right? So maybe it takes 2 guys like that to do what one number 4 hitter would do. Put Martinez at 4 and put Hayes at 5, and let's see what we can do. William was the one here that brought it up the first time. I see you brought his chat up there. So what do you guys think about JD Martinez?
I'm for it. I mean, what else? What else you got to lose at this point? I mean, yeah, it's not like putting Tyler Stevenson. He's striking out every other at bat at DH. Like the term DH is designated hitter, and we just it seems like ever since that has been a proponent for the National League, when the Reds, you get the opportunity to have a designated hitter. I mean, could you imagine the Reds back in 2005 where you could just put Adam Dunn at DH every day? I mean, that would give you a better player in the outfield that you could bring up. It just now we're putting guys there for a pseudo day off, and I think he could be that DH. He's 37. Like, why not put him at DH every day?
Of all the,
go ahead, sir. I'm sorry.
Of all the options we've explored, this might be the most probable. I would say for this front office, for the situation they're in. Like I said, with Baum and Ward, I'm guessing if they're being traded, they're probably having some sort of understanding that they're going to possibly have an extension in line, not unlike the Kyle Tucker situation in Chicago. Like, I'm guessing that would be part of the deal. I mean, obviously, they won't guarantee the extension or whatnot probably right away. But, yeah, JD Martinez seems to be the flyer that the Reds would do, the Austin Hayes 2.0, as you put it. So I would say that why not? Yeah, why not?
So how much would you give him? Would you give him $8 million for the rest of the year? Because I don't think I'm going to go 10. Would you go 8?
I'd give him 8.
Yeah. It seems like a high price for a guy that's out of work, but I don't know. It maybe that's the sticking point. Is there's talks with his agent that trying to figure out a price that the Reds would be, or whoever would be comfortable with. I don't know. It's a good question.
Yeah. And, if they do that, right, now they don't have to give up any prospects.
Right.
Yeah.
It just costs them money.
Well.
I know, but, you can't have everything, gentlemen. Obviously, we wouldn't be having this conversation right at the moment. We'd have everything, right?
Yeah, we're not the Dodgers.
Yeah.
Well, they're not doing it, but okay. So let's talk about that team for a second. I know, and you guys can shut me up whenever you want, because especially Ricky knows me. I'm going to go on and on and on if you don't shut me up. But but aren't the Dodgers not doing well relative to their payroll? I mean, at least the Reds are at 500, and they've got a basic 500 payroll in Major League Baseball. What do you expect out of them, right? The Dodgers have a top-end payroll, and they're not really a top-end team right at the moment, are they?
Well, they're 32-21, so they have a similar record to the Cubs. They just lost to the Mets today, but the Mets are also that top payroll type team too. So that's kind of like a clash of the Titans. I think, I don't know, like Shohei. I saw this a thing today where it's like, who would you rather see? And it was Shohei Ohtani versus Aaron Judge if you were a pitcher. And I don't know. I guess neither. But
option C.
Oh yeah, option C. Neither. Intentional walk. I don't care if bases are loaded. Barry Bonds those guys. But I guess we'll see with the Dodgers. They play Cleveland tomorrow, so I guess that'll be like the real test to see if they're gonna sweep them or not. Because if they don't sweep Cleveland and we did, we're better than the Dodgers in my mind.
I think we went 7-3 against the Dodgers and the Yankees last year. So I think
we swept LA last year.
We're the 2024 World Series champs.
Right. Now, I told you in the very beginning, I really do, and I really believe this. They play up to their competition, and they play down to their competition. This team has done this for years, whether it was David Bell or even back when, the trustee that I didn't trust and Dusty Baker was managing this team. They seem to do that. I know, and I actually wanted to mention the Dodgers for a reason, because I want to throw a name out there from the Dodgers organization that I think would be a fantastic fit for this team, and we should go out and get. James Outman. Go look at his numbers in AAA. Plays center field for them. They've got plenty of outfielders. They're not going to call him up. In fact, they demoted him last year, if you remember correctly, for a couple of other people. I think he can be had as well, and I think that would be a really good fit for the Reds team. And I'll just kind of tease that and leave it alone. Leave it just kind of sit right there and fester.
Yeah, I'm looking at him now. You can go ahead, Roger.
I remember a little bit Yeah, I remember about a little bit of buzz about Outman coming up, and then he got sent back down. But yeah, I'm not sure exactly the player profile. I'm not watching a lot of West Coast baseball, but I think the Reds did a deal with the Dodgers recently and sent Mike
Mhm.
Sirota out there. So
Right.
I mean, we're
They've done
comfortable.
several deals.
Yeah,
I mean,
we're comfortable sending some prospects their way, which for
mhm.
better or for worse, is kind of a
Right. Remember the Matt Kemp deal? We've done deals with him before. That's where we got Kyle Farmer from, was actually from the Dodgers in that deal. So we've done more than one deal with the Los Angeles Dodgers.
So yeah, maybe another one's in the works. And I think that's the thing that the Reds probably would more favorably look for if they are trading is for team control. We're not a team that's openly extending players left and right. So if you get Outman, which I don't even know, does he even have a year of service time yet? So he's probably like 3 or 4 years away from his first arbitration. So that would be something that I think the Reds would be very likely to look into. Is you got team control. You don't have to really pay a lot of money when you get into those arbitration deals, and basically have a guy that will be on the roster for at least 5 years, unless he's well past his service time. I'm not exactly sure. I
No,
think he was
he's
just
not.
yeah. So yeah, 6 years in team control. The Reds will sign up for that in a heartbeat, because that at least at that point he won't be looking for some big extension and whatnot right away. So yeah,
He's currently, just to give you a few stats, I don't know if Ricky's got them pulled up here or not either. He's currently, what we got here, like 27 or 28. His earliest arbitration's 2027. He's not going to be a free agent until 2030. And he's making, the most he's made, 770,000 in a season. So sounds like Reds, and check one more box for the Reds.
yeah, we love that.
I'm all for it. I was actually looking at our prospect list to see who I would get rid of just to get him. I would be okay with a guy like, I think we talked about him, like Adam Serwanowski. Maybe give them a pitcher. Connor Phillips, reliever. He's transitioned to that reliever role. Maybe the Dodgers need a reliever. He could be okay. I don't know. I'm not giving up terrible, like top end prospects. Like I'm not giving up Cam Collier for him. But
No.
if they ask for Evan Arroyo, like maybe, or the only problem, maybe even Chase Petty. If they ask for Chase Petty, like maybe.
Okay, so what do you? So I'm trying to think of this stuff on the fly here, right? So I'm looking at our top 10. We have 3 shortstops in our top 10.
Yeah.
Obviously, all 3 of them can't play shortstop, and we've got a pretty good guy, I think, at shortstop right now. So I'm not sure if any of them are going to play shortstop, right? And if you can give, let's say, Sammy, or you could give Tyson Lewis, one of those guys that's projected. And then the Dodgers can say, well, when Mookie Betts starts to get old and we want to put him back in the outfield, now we're going to bring up this shortstop prospect and he'll be the one to take Mookie's place. Could you sell it to the Dodgers for that as, like a rookie league guy or a single A guy to eventually take Mookie's place so that you can put him back in the outfield? And we want James Outman.
Yeah. This is where you got to really know what's going on inside the organization, because like they are really high at Edwin Arroyo, their top shortstop prospect, and we're high on Tyson Lewis. In fact, we're so looking forward that we think that he's going to probably be the shortstop that takes over for Ellie whenever Ellie's time is done here in Cincinnati, possibly. Sammy Soferro is a good one because we've been keeping tabs on him, and he seems to be a promising player. But I don't know. It'd be hard to depart from Edwin Arroyo because I think the Reds organization really values him. But that would be the guy I think would be.
Where's he going to play?
Right.
Yeah.
Are you going to put him at third and put Marte somewhere else, or trade Marte? Are you going to put him at second and put Matt McLean somewhere else? I mean, where are you going to put Arroyo? Especially with him being the closest one to the majors right now.
Right.
I look at it and I think if I'm the Dodgers, you have all like unlimited cash, right? And the Dodgers are really good at building up their farm system too. if they asked for Edwin Arroyo and or Sammy Sephora, and let's just say somebody like Peyton Stovall or Tristan Smith, pitcher, like that's 3 solid prospects. That's 3 top 25 prospects. Like I think that's a good trade to get somebody with multiple years of team control, and that could benefit in Great American Ballpark too.
You've got to do something. I think that's our thing right now. We're spitballing all of this stuff, right? Our Reds. I mean, I love my Diamondbacks too. You guys, I have all the red stuff in the background of this camera shot, but I could move it over to there and get all the stuff in the Diamondbacks camera shot if I really wanted, right? But I'm out here, so I watch a lot of West Coast baseball. Man, you've got to give up something to get something, and it's time for the Reds to do it. It's put up or shut up time.
Yeah, maybe we just got to make a phone call or send an email. Maybe they just don't know about James Outman yet over there in Cincinnati. There may be that possibility,
Yeah, they don't watch too many West Coast teams either, right?
Maybe.
Yeah, not on our show either.
Right? That's what they should do is just watch this show every week like a lot of us do, and we'd be all good to go, right?
Yeah, we're up to 136 viewers. Thanks to everybody that's watching. We really appreciate you guys taking the time to watch us because we're newer, we're growing, we're trying to get chat growing. Shout out William Wright in the chat just for hanging out with us. We really appreciate you, William. And Mike, you too, coming on. I guess we'll go into like next week's preview just to kind of get a little on track. We've taken on the Royals and the Cubs. What is something that you're looking forward to versus Kansas City, and then kind of looking ahead towards Chicago?
Well, who are you talking to?
Either one of you.
Well, I want to see the comparisons, and because MLB is going to do it. These are 2 of their bright, shining young stars at the same position. You got Bobby Witt Jr. and Ellie De La Cruz. I want to see who's going to come out on top of those 2 in this 3-game series with the Royals.
Yeah, I would say mine is the Brady Singer trade, seeing how that lines up. I know India hasn't had the greatest season so far. He's playing third base a lot, which is not his usual position because they already got a pretty established second baseman. And then Brady Singer is supposed to pitch on Tuesday, I believe. So, that's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. Obviously, if one team wins or not, they're going to grade the trade potentially just based on that. But I still think the Reds kind of have the upper hand because they got a guy that's going to eat innings because that's something that we really haven't had. We haven't had a guy go over 180 innings in about 4 or 5 seasons since Luis Castillo era, basically. So, I'm looking forward to kind of that, seeing old faces, new places.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to I love Kansas City's ballpark. I love the waterfall in center field. I want to see Ellie in a big moment, just when it feels like he could possibly be outshined, he goes out there and does something unbelievable. It's every time they play the Dodgers, he does something. Every time he plays the Yankees, he does something. Every time he plays the Mets, he does something. And Kansas City isn't one of those teams, but they have a player that is one of those players as well. So I'm interested to see what Ellie does. And then the Brady Singer trade too. I like that because I think it has worked out more for us. Not in the last 2 games from Singer, but just overall. I think it's just I think maybe we won that trade so far.
I'm going to talk about the Cubs real quick since I went first last time. I'll go ahead and go first now. There's a day off in between here, so let me make a little bit more of a prediction than what it is. I'm going to actually talk about the series itself. So the Reds will sweep the Kansas City Royals, and then there'll be an off day, and then they'll lose that momentum, and they'll go into Chicago and look bad again.
Oh no!
Yeah,
I like it.
The one thing that's weird about the Cubs is when they play at home is they play all day games, and Reds are notorious for not playing necessarily well. Getaway days, especially, but usually like day games. So like the Friday game for the Cubs is at 2:20. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Reds are going to struggle. This past week was their opportunity, I felt, to gain some ground on the Cubs at least, and they had sizable leads in all three games. It just closing the deal didn't happen. And the thing is, Wrigley is just as small as Great American, and when the wind blows out, it can carry the ball even more. And I can see the Cubs going off with their power hitters as well, and it might be a real struggle fest for the Reds in Chicago on the weekend. So hopefully they win 2 out of 3 against Kansas City, because that would at least save the week a little bit, to say the least.
Yeah, I don't want to be too negative. I think of myself as a positive guy. The Royals are 4 games above 500, and they actually did beat the Twins today. So maybe there's some momentum. The Twins have been hot. My fear, we haven't been swept this year. So I think we're going to win game 1 versus Kansas City, and then we're going to lose the last 2. And then we're going to win game 2 versus Chicago, and we're going to lose that rubber match. Whatever reason, we can't win a series when you win the first game of the series, and when you lose the first game of the series, and you can't win the getaway rubber match either.
Yeah, it's
Well, so maybe I'll give our fans a little bit more. I was going through clicking some stuff here. So the final game of the Kansas City Royals game is actually the MLB free game of the day. And if memory serves me correctly, the last time that we had the free game of the day, they clobbered somebody.
Sorry about that. Baltimore game, or is it?
Yeah,
I think it was a Baltimore game where that's what I was thinking, where it was the free game of the day and they clobbered Baltimore. So maybe we'll get free game of the day, good vibes for that game.
I hope so. I don't know what it is about this team this year that it's like you said, we play up to our competition and play down. I like that. I wish we didn't. I wish we could play up, and then you have a bad day every once in a while. It feels like our bad days are when we play somebody it's not good. And I don't know, losing 2 out of 3 to the Pirates and then getting shut out, losing 1-0. I think I saw a thing where I think we're on pace to set a franchise record for the most 1-0 losses. I think it was 24 is the record. So that's not good.
Yeah, no, it's kind of hard to find some hope in the 2-4 week. This week will be hopefully playing up to their competition, to say the least, because Kansas City should be kind of a playoff contender. The tough AL Central, though, with all those teams, Minnesota and I mean, Detroit is one of the best teams in baseball. So it's like they have stiff competition all the time. So I don't know. It's definitely going to be hopefully a positive week in terms of offense. That's all I'm asking for. Is we had enough offense against the Cubs, it seemed. A normal series where I think Ricky said you got 20 runs scored in 3 games. That's pretty good for the Reds. But unfortunately, they went up against an even more high octane offense. So, like I said, it's good. I think going to be real difficult in Chicago. But if we can get 20 runs scored in the Kansas City series, that'll have me thinking a little more positively for sure.
Yeah, and I guess before we go on and get out of here, I do want to say, tomorrow being Memorial Day, just thank you to everybody that has served and has given their life for this country, because we take what we have for granted, I think, and even with all the problems we have in today's world, just fighting and arguing over just petty stuff, I think we still have the greatest country on the planet. And Mike, I know you do what you do, and I appreciate what you do. And like my mom, served in the military. She was in the Marines. I have a very large military family. My grandpa was in the Navy. Multiple uncles and cousins in the Marines, and just close family friends that, like, my wife's friend's dad I think he did like 7 tours overall in Afghanistan and Iraq. So just thank you to everybody that's done what they've done to keep our country safe.
Absolutely. Just to make it clear, I haven't served in the military. I am a first responder. I know that's what Ricky was referring to, but
Yes.
He said me, and then he said, "Oh, well, my parents are, my people are this," and I didn't want to get that misconstrued there. But yes, I appreciate you acknowledging that. I want to acknowledge everyone as well. We take advantage of it. That's why we live in this country, though, is to take advantage of it and to have those freedoms that we have. Ricky, go ahead, buddy. What you got?
No, I just like I said, this country, it's no matter what, people argue over just tariffs or anything in particular. We have the freedom that we have, and we have the ability to actually speak freely about the problems. There's a lot of countries where if you say what you say about our government, they would lock you away. So I don't take what I have for granted. Just the ability to even come on a computer and log up and talk sports for a living. That's a pretty good blessing in itself.
Absolutely, absolutely. Hey, gentlemen, I tell you what, man, I have really enjoyed being on this show. I know you guys want to close everything out. I want to be back on when our Arizona Diamondbacks and the Cincinnati Reds meet. So I want to sign up for that one here in front of everybody. All 100 and some odd people you've got with you live right now. So let's do that, shall we?
Yeah, and to steal a quote from you, the only thing fair in life is a ball between the first base and the third base line. So thanks, everybody. Shout out Dubby. Go to w.gg, code red hot 10 for 10% off your order. Shout out Doug, Jordan, Ohio Sports Talk. We got our link tree in the comments or the description of the show. You can go check out all of our social media. Go check out Mike, the Sports Truth 643 and out on X. Excellent show. And Roger, you want to hit us with the Go Reds?
Yeah, Ricky also is on the pregame show Monday, tomorrow.
Yes, that's right.
Check him out. Yep.
Hey, no, wait a minute. Wait. I'll be off tomorrow. What time's that? Come on, Ricky.
3:30. I think the game's at 4:40. So we're coming on an hour ahead.
Yeah. So I noticed that the game time for tomorrow against Kansas City is an early game. So yeah. So you say 3 or 3:30, Ricky?
I'll get the exact time for you real quick.
Yeah, not that you should have had that pulled up or anything.
Well, I wasn't going to shamelessly plug myself.
Well, sometimes you have to, sir. Nobody else is going to plug you.
It's 4:10 time. We're going live at 3:00. Chatterbox Sports.
Yeah. And check out Mike on Tuesday nights for the Sports Truth. Check out Was it 6 o'clock Mountain Time, 9 o'clock our time?
Yeah, so that's right.
Or 8 o'clock.
Yeah, I know what time I go on.
Yeah. Fair enough. All right. Thanks, Mike, for coming on. I really appreciate it. And yeah, we look forward to the Eugenio Suarez reunion like we do every time. Love seeing his face. Unfortunately, not in a Reds uniform, but we'll
still love the guy.
Yeah.
Yep. He's great for Arizona.
Yeah. 4 home runs in a game. How about that?
Right.
Anyway, all right. Everybody, thank you again for tuning in. We're going to sign off and go Reds.
Go Reds and Diamondbacks.
We're the Reds. Red hot.